Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing another Boracity Magazine video. It's called Do K-pop Concept Even Make Sense? I don't know. Do you think it makes sense? I think I like it, but sometimes I do not understand the concept. Because I don't think this is a common thing in the US or in the Western music industry to have a concept. But anyway, let's go find out if we think that they make sense or not. Let's go.
There is a popular clip of Beyonce that resurfaces on the internet every year because many say it reflects where the music industry is heading to.
People don't make albums anymore. They don't make albums. They just try to sell a bunch of little quick singles and they burn out and they put out a new one and they burn out and they put out a new one. People don't even listen to a body of work anymore. I think people are so brainwashed. You get up in the morning, you click on the computer, you see all these pictures and all you think of is the picture and the image that you see all day, every day. And you don't see the human form.
In a technical sense, artists do make albums.
Before we move on, can we comment on how beautiful she looks? Okay, anyway.
Still, they release a collection of songs under one name. What Beyonce is referring to is the lack of bodies of work with a story, a message, or an intention. The artist needs to have something to say, and the album is how that something is delivered. But nowadays, artists put out single after single and then put them all together on an album that has no story, no intention, and no...
But do we have that in the Western world? I cannot remember. I haven't really dived into the US album. Maybe that's what she meant. There's no album. But I'm trying to think back to Michael Jackson, the time that... Do we have a concept? I don't remember there was a concept.
No correlation between the songs. Because many popular albums today are not made with the intention to be a body of work, they don't have any concrete concept. So when we talk about music and albums, a concept is simply what an album is about. It's the theme. Concepts are a good thing in general because it gives a thesis statement to your album. Even if it's a very simple one, a concept is concrete. It has a message and a purpose. Now, a long time ago, I said that I wanted to make a video about concepts in K-pop, and some of the comments I received said something that caught my attention. BTS doesn't have concepts, they have messages. I still see comments like this to this day. I got this one only a couple of days ago. This made me think in how different the world is to this day as K-pop. And some of the comments I received said something that caught my attention. BTS doesn't have concepts, they have messages. I still see comments like this to this day. I got this one only...
It's not a concept. So what's the difference between a concept and a message? Isn't the concept is just the framework to deliver a message? So that's how I see it. I see the concept is the framework to deliver a message. So it's the holder, it's the frame. I don't know. We'll find out.
A couple of days ago. This made me think in how different the word concept is used in K-pop and in non-K-pop conversations. In K-pop, concept means something similar to what I just talked about, but it's not discussed in the same way. In K-pop, the word concept has been kind of diminished, and I argue that this has affected the artistic progress and ambitions of many K-pop singers. So to not confuse the two definitions, I will be using the words K-pop concept to refer to the K-pop definition and concept to refer to what Beyonce talked about, the theme of a body of work. Going back to Beyonce.
Oh, by the way, I was at Panera Bread over the weekend, just minding my own business, drinking my coffee, watching YouTube. And then I heard this music because I was wearing my headset, so I could not really hear. But then again, I swear I heard RM rapping in Korean or something like that. So I removed my headset and lo and behold, Panera Bread was playing Life Goes On. I was like, woohoo! Anyway, okay, let's go back.
say her latest album's concept would be country music, not because the genre of the album is country, but because she has something to say about the history of country music. This album has the purpose of showcasing the limitations Black country artists go through despite the genre having African American roots. It's more than just the sound and the cowboy outfits. For example, in this album, Beyoncé made a cover of the Beatles song Blackbird. This is not originally a country song, but it still follows the album's concept because the Beatles wrote it about the racial tensions in the southern United States. Beyoncé's version features Black country artists, and in this context, this folk song by a white British band perfectly fits the album. It follows the concept. This is different to a country singer releasing a country album with the concept of, for example, the teenage perspective on relationships. The concept is not necessarily the aesthetics or the sound. When it comes to this country album, the concept is not country. The concept is something else. With that premise, I can identify multiple concepts throughout BTS's albums. The concept of their school trilogy is school, not because they are wearing school uniforms, but because they are singing about the education system in South Korea, the pressure Korean students go through, and even how students experience romantic relationships. School is not just the aesthetic, it's the concept. A more recent example is their album B. The concept of this album is the pandemic. With each of these songs, from beginning to end, BTS tells their experiences and thoughts during the pandemic. How their lives changed, how they quarantined, their fears and frustrations, a sudden glimpse of hope, their new connection as a group, their new mindset as a group, their new connection with their fans, and finally, a happy, hopeful sentiment. There are a variety of sounds and a variety of visuals, but everything has to do with their pandemic experience. Another example is the concept of their Map of the Soul albums. The concept was based on the book Jung's Map of the Soul, about Jungian psychology. In other words, the concept of BTS's Map of the Soul,
which was okay,
is one's persona, shadow, and ego. This brings out a bunch of different aesthetics and sounds, but the concept remains persona, shadow, and ego. You can apply this to every song of the album. Boy With Love's concept is persona or social mask, not pink or femininity. Those are the aesthetics. Black Swan's concept is shadow or inner fears, not the theater or contemporary dance. Those are the setting and the style of dance. On's concept is not, and I repeat, is not marching. On's concept is ego or self-protection. As you can see, what K-pop fans recognize as the concept are the superficial elements, the colors, the makeup, the outfits, the setting. Outside of K-pop, all of these elements are important parts of the concept as well, but they have a motive. A good conceptual album, for example, would have a story or a message about having everything pink. The aesthetics are not pink for the sake of being pink, but when it comes to K-pop concepts, the aesthetics represent the obvious. Pink is a romantic concept, and dark colors are a badass concept. There's usually nothing more to that. This is why I think it's hard for some armies to see self-love as a concept. But in my opinion, that is the concept of the Love Yourself trilogy. These albums explain a very detailed and well thought out description of the idea that to love someone else, you have to love yourself first. It's a simple message, but BTS's explanation is not. Each part and each song explains the journey to self-acceptance and self-love. From romance to heartbreak to the epiphany that you need to accept and love yourself first. This trilogy has everything a good concept could have. A story, a message, and the aesthetics that reflect the concept. But in an industry that does not treat concepts seriously, it's not surprising to see labels turn the Love Yourself concept into a K-pop concept. That means repeating the aesthetics and the title of the concept, without necessarily coming to that conclusion themselves. There's no real story to understand or message to analyze. The conversation by K-pop fans and even K-pop singers surrounding concepts is very interesting. For example, the first result when I search for K-pop concepts is this thread about concepts fans want to see more. And the one starting the conversation mentions the concept of social message. I can assure you that before BTS, no one recognized a social message as a concept, but now it's a thing. Because BTS became globally popular with their Love Yourself trilogy, this became a popular K-pop concept. Now, a lot of Western listeners say that everyone sings about loving yourself. And this is not unique to BTS,
Yes.
and that is 100% correct. But because having a social message that the singer cares about expressing is not a common thing in K-pop, BTS's Love Yourself concept became a novelty. It became a new interesting aesthetic to replicate, especially since it gained attention in Western countries.
We have like
It
Love
was
Yourself
only after
song
BTS
everywhere,
released their
right?
globally popular Love Yourself trilogy that K-pop groups suddenly all started singing about loving yourself. They even used the words love yourself in English, which they never did before, just so everyone could understand that they are following this specific BTS trend. After BTS finished their trilogy of Love Yourself albums, the Love Yourself K-pop concept died. The trend is over. Just like this example,
Okay.
many K-pop concepts come and go. But there is a list of concepts that every K-pop fan may recognize. Some that don't need explanation are the cute concept and the sexy concept. The girl
okay.
crush or badass concept is the opposite of cute. It's considered more edgy and cooler. There's also the retro concept, which nods to the past, the teen crush concept, which is directed at teens, and the most recent revival of the Y2K concept, which nods to the early 2000s. As you can see, the approach to this K-pop
But
concept
those concepts are just the aesthetic, right? Like she say, just the look, maybe the style of the music, but there's no message.
is related to what's visual, superficial, and
Okay,
obvious.
if you're not new to my channel, you know that I'm not too into girl group because many of the girl group I see are doing the cute concept. That's just not my style. Just okay. If I have to listen to a girls group, it has to be those badass concept, like.
Yes. Most, if not all, conversations by K-pop stans about concepts have to do with what they want to see, not what they want their favorite artists to address. I previously brought up the example of BTS's school concept because at that time they were a powerless group and the easiest targets of harmful accusations.
Everybody said they
BTS
copy,
were
right?
accused of copying the school concept of another group, when that group never released an actual school concept. BTS simply wore school uniforms like every other Korean group does at some point. The difference is that BTS's school uniforms were a reflection of their actual concept. BTS literally sang about the education system and being a student, while for most K-pop groups, the school
They just
uniforms
wear
are an
it.
outfit and the school is a setting, but they don't even mention school in their lyrics. They are doing the K-pop concept of school, not BTS's concept of school. K-pop concepts are more visual. Fans want to see their favorite K-pop group look like their high school crush, so they want to see them act cute in a school uniform. Fans want to see their favorite K-pop singers wear dark outfits while dancing a cool choreography, so they want to see the girl crush or badass concept. To realize this, you just need to look at the way K-pop fans talk about concepts. In this same thread, it was mentioned that they wanted to see more the concept of nightlife, because one girl group did it and they liked it. But that song has nothing to do with nightlife. Nightlife is just the setting for the music video. That is not a concept, it's an aesthetic.
Yeah.
This is my point. K-pop fans tend to not take K-pop concepts seriously because there's an extensive record of no real connection, message, or story with most of these songs. So it obviously became common to not look for a real concept because there is usually none. In the K-pop world, concepts mean something else. The word
There's just too many concepts. I'm just seeing all those concepts flashing through my eyes. I'm just, too many. What's the summer concept? So that you dance on the beach in swimsuit?
word and its implications have been simplified. When asked what concept they want to see more, K-pop fans think about the type of outfits a group has not worn before. They think about the persona a group has not performed as yet. If a group has been acting cute for too long, fans want to see them look and act badass or sexy for once. When the question is, what is a K-pop group concept you'd like to see done? One answer says, whatever this boy group was doing with those medieval robes. That is not a concept, but I guess in K-pop it is.
It is,
Either there's
okay.
no message or K-pop fans don't care when there's actually one. When the conversation is about concepts that K-pop groups have not tried yet, someone comments, my dream girl group would be one where each member is a fantasy race.
What?
Elf, fairy, mermaid, demon, vampire. Could be like an enchanted forest vibe or something darker like a cursed forest. This may be an interesting idea, But what would be the actual concept of that aesthetic? If a singer came up with a story that brings out those looks, that would be cool. But that is not the conversation. This conversation is about the outfits and makeup they want to see a K-pop group wear. The visuals are first, the sound second, and the story is not even mentioned.
They don't care about
But
the
concepts
story.
are about the message or story first. This is what brings out the aesthetics. What used to be a very popular K-pop concept was the weird concept. Now K-pop fans miss it and want to see it again. But what they want is the singer wearing weird outfits in a weird setting, singing to a weird tune. That's usually the entire conversation. This is different to how non-K-pop fandoms talk about the artist doing weird concepts. For example, music listeners refer to Rosalia's Motomami, most of Charli XCX's discography, and Camila Cabello's recent rebrand during conversations about artists doing weird concepts. But these examples are all stories that present themselves in a weird way. Again, the artist's thoughts, their personalities, their ideas, and the stories they want to tell lead the aesthetic. There is a thought process behind these projects. Yes, the aesthetics are a part of the concept, but that's
not the
only
only
one
one,
part.
yeah.
Actually, there's a huge conversation about Camila Cabello doing this concept genuinely or not. Many argue she's just following a trendy aesthetic. These are the types of debates surrounding concepts. But when it comes to K-pop concepts, this conversation most likely wouldn't take place. I believe most of these fan conversations are a reflection of how K-pop singers treat their own concepts. It's very rare to see
What the hell
K-pop
is
groups
this?
explaining the concept of their albums because there is usually nothing to explain, or they are so detached from their own projects that they don't even know what they're singing about.
Tell me the story behind the record.
I mean, I guess it's like, it goes for like whatever, like the listener, if you decide to hear it this way, it could be that this way, and if you,
What? Okay.
I mean,
Wait,
But they
what's the
don't even
question?
know what they're singing about.
Tell me the story behind the record.
Yeah, the story behind the
I
record.
mean, I
There's
guess
no
it's like,
story.
it goes for like whatever, like the listener, if you decide to hear it this way, it could be that this way, and if you kind of change the story up, it could be whatever. You can put your mind to it.
Are you embodying somebody else's words? Are you adding your own words to it?
Those are hot questions.
Yeah, like our producer
You work
always
with them
gets
on
to
it.
get
Yeah.
the like the best.
We would sit in the couch in
Fine.
the back and
So they will be sitting in the couch in the back and just following orders of what the producers want them to do and sing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any of you guys try to produce your own music? Write your own records?
So far, we've kind of gone with what our producer really prepares for us.
Because there's no concept, they don't know what they're singing. I like those girls, they are pretty and they dance well. I really like Jenny and Lisa. I love Rosé's voice. But yeah, unfortunately they're just the tool to convey whatever the producer wants them to do.
Whether it's a complicated or simple concept, the artist should be able to explain what they mean by what they're singing, even if the concept is having fun. The artist should have concrete experiences, examples,
Yes.
and reasons why they came up with that having fun concept. And even if you don't create your own concept, you're supposed to identify with it, or at least give it your own color, your point of view, anything. Sometimes artists find a demo they identify with and works perfect on them. But if you don't even have that choice, of course I'm going to notice how detached you are from your own music. This is why when K-pop singers are actually connected to their songs, they are not scared to explain.
Yeah.
They are excited to talk about their concepts. You can easily tell when this is the case.
He made that song, Aura.
I made it.
We can't be confident about that because I think, in K-pop, there are hardly, female songwriter.
can write their songs by themselves, and we have three of us. We can write songs by ourselves. We can express like what we want to say. We want the message that we really want to deliver to the audience. So I think it's a really good point.
This K-pop singer, for example, made a video rating her own discography, and I find it interesting that the only project she gave a 10 out of 10 was the concept she and her group members came up with, while her least favorite concepts were the ones given to them.
Helicopter, a 10 out of 10. Concept great, the best one so far, because we were the one who thought of the concept.
The artist's connection or lack of connection to their work is noticeable. So if most K-pop groups are this detached from their music, how can K-pop fans care? Fans talk about what they notice.
But I want to say that for the most, I will not say all, most K-pop fans, they don't care about concept. They only care about the visual. Unfortunately, that's how I see it. But I might be totally wrong. But that's just how I feel.
If they notice visuals but no message or interest from the singer, then they'll focus on visuals only. Compare this to the way BTS talks non-stop about their work. Even when there were not many people listening, Suga made detailed explanations of each song of each album released. Now BTS does more elaborate documentaries or multi-part series about the creation and concept of their albums. BTS were also the first K-pop artists interviewed by the Grammy Museum, and the interviewer asked them about their conceptual albums. Since these concepts are so personal to BTS, they could give concrete explanations of how the concepts of their albums reflect their personal lives. I remember watching the interviews when BTS first entered the American music industry. Most interviews were superficial and generic because that's how most interviews are. But when they were asked about their albums, they would get so excited. Especially when the interviewer cared, BTS would talk non-stop about their songs. Sometimes they talked so much that they had to cut the interview short.
그런 것들에 대해서 좀 많이 배우는 것 같아요.
You know, Zach.
모르겠다 이거.
사람. So it sounds really similar. So I mean, like,
I'm getting wrapped up. I could talk to you guys for so much longer. I'm very aware. You don't need to scream.
K-pop performers cannot always do the same because their music does not always reflect who they are, what they think, or even what they like. As many K-pop singers now admit, it's very common for them to not like their own concepts because they have no creative control over their own music.
Look, step in the place and they yell, go figure. Watch, I'ma go all out for my hitter.
Although the conversation surrounding concepts has improved a little in recent years, the K-pop industry and fans continue celebrating the same 5 popular K-pop concepts. The conversation by K-pop performers and fans continues being this simplistic. So it's not a surprise that although BTS gave a lot of visibility to the entire K-pop industry, the general public simply cannot get attached.
I can't. I try, okay? I try. I listen to BTS. I try to listen to other groups. I just can't, okay? Over the weekend, I was having brunch with my other girlfriend, and she also likes BTS. So she was introduced to BTS through her daughter. Her daughter has since moved on to other things, and we as moms, we stuck with BTS. So apparently she told me that a few months ago, her daughter asked her, said, "Hey mom, which group are you listening to right now, right? Because BTS are in the military." Her response was like, after BTS, I just cannot see myself listen to any other group because they just don't cut it. So, yeah, you know.
It's too much of the same again and again. This is why I believe it all starts with the reaction of K-pop fandoms. BTS took their own concepts very seriously from the very beginning. So ARMY took BTS's concepts seriously too. ARMY sometimes wonders about what kind of aesthetics BTS is doing next. But most times, ARMY debates about their next message or story, about their next real concept. What are they thinking right now? What are they experiencing as artists and as normal people? Or even, what are they reading or watching in media? Jimin, for example, came up with the concept for Like Crazy after watching the movie Like Crazy. So he sings about a fictional love story, but he understands and is somehow connected to this story, even if he didn't live it exactly as portrayed. The BTS members are not always their own stylists. They are not always their own music directors, but they do come up or identify with their artistic concepts. Suga had an accident that changed his entire life and created the most heartbreaking alter ego story. RM saw a leaf fall and then wrote South Korea's second anthem. Those are the concepts I care about. BTS knows what they want to say, they compose what they want to say, and they perform what they want to say. Even when it's a coping mechanism like Dynamite, it's their coping mechanism. It's their distraction to the world. They know why they are releasing their songs. They have no problem explaining why they are releasing their songs. If it's a very meaningful and complicated concept, they explain it wholeheartedly. If it's a concept just for fun, they say it's just for fun. There's no shame in their explanation because they know the exact reasons why they release what they release. Those are well done, purposeful concepts. K-pop concepts can be so pretty to look at and fun to recreate, but there's nothing else worth analyzing behind that. Like I said, this is okay sometimes. I love listening to fun, meaningless music as well, but I do find this practice a disservice to the talented performers who, after training for years, may want to be taken seriously someday. When concepts are more about an aesthetic than having a theme with a genuine message, it will be harder to connect with music listeners. But it all starts with liking your own music first, so you can stop being so scared to...
You need to be connected to the work that you're releasing, right? I think it applies to every industry. Even if you are so far remotely away from industry, like music like me. My industry is totally unrelated to anything artistic, okay? But if I'm putting together a program, I need to be connected to it. I need to believe what I'm putting together. And I can explain to people what this program is all about, right? So, you gotta be connected to the things that you are releasing or publishing, whatever that means.
To talk about it. BTS never avoided explaining their concepts, and the excitement of their explanations made their audience follow their lead. I hope other artists in the industry do as well.
I hope so too. So that was, do K-pop concept make sense? So yeah, we understand the difference between, well, from her video, we understand the difference between concept and K-pop concept. So in my opinion, I believe we should have a concept, and that's what BTS is doing, or a lot of many artists are doing through the album or the albums. K-pop concept, the visuals, to me, they're good to look at, but they don't convey anything, and it's just a trend. So I think I've talked enough throughout the video, and so I'm not going to drag this on any longer. Therefore, until next time, have a wonderful day. Bye.